Welcome to Konoha Crush, a clandestine effort to exhaustively research and document events occurring in and around the village hidden in the leaves. I'm Velvet.
I'm Gwen. Hi.
Hi, hey.
It's a whole new arc.
None of this tuning exam shit. None of this destroying the village hidden in the leaves shit, unfortunately. But
Yeah. No more school.
No. They already weren't in school.
Well, the cheating exams are kind of school.
It's like a test, which is like school.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me. How's it going?
It's pretty good. Do we have anything we want to talk about before we get into the whole, it's the start of a new arc, so we talk about, what the podcast is and stuff?
I'm still in that state where I'm, not fucking, watching shit this season for whatever reason. I'm just taking a break, I guess. But other than, watching, First Recoil with Gwen every week, which, still having a great time with that.
Yeah.
It's just fun when you give the girls some guns and you make the show look really good. Fucking Tetsuya Takeuchi was on that latest episode. I mean, it's not going to be the latest episode by the time this comes out, but, when we recorded this.
What number was it for?
4, yeah. Yeah, Tetsuya Takeuchi, who we've talked about on this podcast even. Great looking episode of anime. You love to see it.
Yeah, it was his, did you say it was his first time, being the, animation director?
It was his first time being, storyboarder and episode director for, a episode of TV anime. He's done, some OVAs in the past, I think, but,
Okay.
He's not, completely unfamiliar with a lot of that work, but, it's, it is still a first in some ways.
Right. I mean, obviously he's been in the industry for a long time. He drew, the most sickest scene in the whole zombies situation.
Yeah.
And,
He was around before that, even.
It's just a really, really, really talented motherfucker, and that episode looked so good.
It looked so good, yeah. No, I was, I was kind of because of so much of Tetsuya Takeuchi's work that I've been seeing recently was stuff on Naruto for this podcast. It was I was expecting it to be a much bigger action thing, and there's some action stuff in it, but it's mostly just a, it is by and large here's a light comedy episode that is just constantly showing off, and that's a pretty good mode for a show to be in too. It turns out.
Yeah, it was a good fucking episode.
Yeah. I was just having a great time with that. Sometimes you just need to watch one show and not a half dozen shows that you only care about some of them, and that's a better way to watch anime sometimes, it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, besides that, the only thing that's been going on for me recently was Multiversus. The open beta came out today, and I played a little bit of that.
Yeah, I played a little bit of that too. I'm still getting a feel for it, but It's alright.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't know how much I'll play of it in the grand scheme of things, but I'll at least try to play a little more.
Well, I'll have you know that I've been playing it. I played 5 or so online rounds.
Mm-hmm.
1v1. I won all but one.
All right, I gotta catch up, I guess. Oh my god.
Yeah. Probably after we record, I'm gonna make you 1v1 me.
Okay, well that's scary. But I'll do my best.
All right, so.
I guess we want to say what this podcast is. I mean, if you've been listening for this long, your suspense must be killing you. What the fuck is going on here in this Naruto podcast?
Mostly we talk about Naruto.
We mostly talk about Naruto. The bulk of all of our episodes every week is talking about Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
We talk primarily about the anime for a variety of reasons. I think there's some changes that are interesting to talk about for good or ill. I think that there's a lot of artists who work on Naruto who have a really interesting contribution to what Naruto is that I think are worth highlighting, and in a way that I feel I don't know, if I was just talking about Masashi Kishimoto the entire time as the sole artistic voice behind Naruto, I would be less satisfied than if I got to talk about Toshiki Suru or Atsushi Wakabayashi or all sorts of other people we'll get to further down the line.
Yeah, less satisfied and just blatantly incorrect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm Velvet. Sometimes I'm Ira. Sometimes I'm Ruby. I've got a whole gender fluid thing going on. Don't worry about it. I'll say whatever I'm feeling at the top of every episode probably. I have sort of been consumed with the fascination for Naruto for a long ass time. I was gonna say gotta be over a decade. It's probably it's way more than a decade at this point. It's
20 years.
I mean, I have not been in for 20 years, right? But it's probably not quite 15, but getting there. by the time we get run this podcast, it'll easily be 15 years. I've read the whole thing through multiple times. I've seen the whole thing through one time, and like seen a lot of these episodes like more than that. And now I'm doing it again in a like attempt to like I don't even know. I guess just fucking get all this shit that I thought about Naruto out of my head, and like maybe even come to some exciting new conclusions, like how cool Orochimaru is.
Yeah, we fucking love Orochimaru.
Yeah, we love Orochimaru here. That's a very important point of this podcast.
Actually, and like we have kind of like framed like the fiction around the podcast. Like we have this bit going where we're characters in the show sometimes. Well, I have this bit going where we're characters in the show sometimes, like underlings of Orochimaru, and I think that's like a fun direction to approach it from. Hi, I'm Gwen, the other host of the podcast.
What's up with you, Gwen? Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Gwen. Sort of a trans femme lesbian type thing, and like that's fine.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I like it.
I would say better than fine, I might say exceptional.
You fucking would.
I would. I did, even.
Yeah, and I guess, like, kind of similarly, though much less exhaustively, I have a long and storied experience with Naruto, albeit kind of spotty. There are, like, some, like, stretches of the show where I just have, like, no experience with, despite, like, kind of, like, being into it roughly through its whole run, and, like, it consuming a large part of my, like, imagination as a young teen. Yeah, I mostly like swords and fights and stuff. Velvet is much smarter than I am when it comes to like, I don't know, doing research and knowing like who made the show and things, but like I'm here to call that when something is cool as fuck.
Yeah, that's a very important service. And also, you're like a funny bitch. I gotta say.
Yeah, well,
I know.
Oh my god, I try.
Thank you for your service. It's really valuable to this podcast. I have you to bounce off of. Can you fucking imagine if I was just trying to like talk about Naruto alone into a microphone? Nightmare. Worst audio experience of anybody's life.
Yeah, I mean, so that's basically what's going on. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Not really.
No, you just want to go ahead and get into the episodes then?
I'm totally good to get into these episodes.
All right. Episode 81, Return of the Morning Mist. It's a new day. Sasuke and Naruto are each training in their own way. Naruto's pumped to keep working and getting stronger, and Sasuke dwells on his trauma. A bunch of sand shinobi find the body of the Kazekage abandoned in the desert somewhere, and date it to before the Chunin exams. Orochimaru is mad about his arms, and regrets not going for Itachi earlier. Itachi and Kisame are looking for someone in the village, and Jiraiya gets asked to become the new Hokage. He refuses, but offers to go find Tsunade if it'll keep the village others off his back. So the episode starts with the scene that I didn't mention in the summary. It starts with Itachi and Kisame like entering the Hidden Leaf for the first time in the morning, right? And it's all foggy, which is probably what the Morning Mist title is about.
Yeah, that's probably the Morning Mist. They just fucking stroll in there. I have to cut the Leaf slack just this one time because they've just lost a lot of people. I can't judge too harshly. I'm sure their security measures are lessened. But, like, if they are at full force, maybe then Itachi and Kasami could have still just strolled in there and it would have been fine for them.
Right, because, I mean, it's not like the path was unguarded. There was a guy going like, hey, wait, you guys, who are you?
Oh, shit, I'm getting all sleepy from the Morning Mist. No. Yeah, so there's if the Leaf was ever any good at keeping out intruders, which we've had our qualms with the past, it's certainly not up to snuff now. So we got some guys here. Mm-hmm. Sasuke's doing fucking bad.
Sasuke's situation is so rough right now.
Sasuke's just like sitting there like fucking hallucinating his like slightly younger self being sad and throwing knives at him. It's like a really bad moment for him. He is clearly not handling it.
Naruto's fine.
Naruto's fine though. Yeah, Naruto is just having like a normal fucking morning. Like he's the one guy who's just like he's happy to be here. He's happy to be training and trying to get stronger every day. He's like running through the fucking woods after he finished like throwing shuriken at shit, and he's like gonna go back to town. He's fine. He's handling it. I guess he didn't really have anything that bad happen to him in the previous arc. So, like, it's really all looking up for him. I think I really like throughout these episodes is that like there's a real attention to like when people are like moving about through the hidden leaf. There's really attention to like how much like construction work is going on there. I feel like the anime like sometimes you've got shots of like here's like a wrecked building or something, but like throughout these 3 episodes like there's a lot of just like little moments of like where like there's just like that kind of like constant background like presence in the soundscape, or just like here's like some people that are working in the background. I think that's like a nice touch. I also really like the scene where like Naruto runs into Konohamaru here.
Yeah, another scene that I didn't mention in the summary.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's Konohamaru is just kind of standing around being sad.
Yeah, like Naruto like runs up to him, and they're both like just kind of standing there, be like, "Oh, are you kind of sad? Should I say something?" And it's just like this moment of like sort of quiet awkwardness, and Konohamaru's like, "Actually, I'm fine. My sheer patriotism has overpowered my sadness, so I'm going to be okay. I'm going to go help fix the school."
What a good kid.
Yeah, he's not rebellious anymore. Now that his grandpa's dead, he's really cleaned up his act.
Yeah, and by good, I do mean primed to be a child soldier. So, like,
that's what it's all about, right?
That's what it's all about here at the Hidden Leaf.
Hiruzen Sarutobi's like final victory was like just making the next generation so fucking ready.
Christ.
Anyway, speaking of dead Kages, off in the desert, we see like who's in the scene? Is it Baki? I forget.
Yeah, Baki's there. Baki's the only sand journey we know.
Yeah, I guess that's true, right? I was trying to remember if Baki was alive, but no, Baki's alive. He's fine.
Yeah. Genma sure as hell didn't fucking do anything.
Right. And so when we were talking about the previous arc, I sort of assumed that like Orochimaru like killed and replaced the Kazekage at some point in the middle of that. But we get the reveal here that he's just been dead for like a month.
Yeah, he was dead the whole time.
The whole fucking time. Orochimaru was just like sort of sitting there, or I guess either Orochimaru or like somebody who he sent over to pretend to be Kazekage was just sort of sitting there and being like, "Hey guys, let's all stir up this fucking whole like reactionary nationalist thing you got going on. You can just run in there." It's kind of amazing how much Orochimaru is just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna treat this other village like a fucking gun for me, and like whatever happens happens."
Honestly, good shit.
Yeah, no, it's a fucking strong move.
He should have done that with the Hidden Leaf.
What, like killed and replaced Hiruzen and just
Yeah, just been Hiruzen for a while. I said, "Oh my god," because then he could just keep replacing whoever is the new Hokage.
Oh my god, he could be the Hokage forever.
He could just take their body.
I feel like he doesn't really want that though. Like I feel like he wants the Hidden Leaf to not be there more than he wants it to be like his own personal thing.
I mean, that's fair, but like,
Obviously, Orochimaru couldn't have done this because we cut over to Orochimaru's lair where Kabuto is like trying to reassure him. He's like, "Oh, you take out the Hokage, and he's like the strongest of all the Kages, right? So like, obviously it's just much easier to kill the Kage and replace him than to kill the Hokage because there's like a weird through line through these episodes of people like very pointedly establishing some sort of like pecking order of like who's stronger than who. Like they really want you to know like where we're escalating things and like where the power levels are in a way that like it feels kind of quaint almost.
Yeah, it's fun.
Very on the nose, right? Because like Orochimaru is thinking about how he wanted to take like Itachi's body, but now it's too late because Itachi is stronger than him. So we just keep getting that this sense of like, don't worry everybody, there's even more stronger guys. It's just gonna keep getting more dangerous out here.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, like, establish the next big bad guy is stronger than the last one. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Like, Orochimaru is, like, really, like, pulling double duty as, like, the stakes establishing guy here, right? Because he's not just talking about, like, oh, Itachi's stronger than me. He's also, like, gesturing towards, like, an ominous organization he used to be part of that he left when he realized, like, Itachi was too strong to take the body of. So it's, like...
Yeah. So, can we talk about how Orochimaru keeps his old ring on just, like, a severed hand he keeps on his desk?
Where else do you keep your rings?
On just like a mummy hand. It's so good.
What a guy.
What a fucking guy.
Well, I like that Orochimaru like momentarily indisposed, just like, okay, well, don't worry, there's lots of other big problems for the Hidden Leaf, so like maybe they keep making shit bad for them over there. It'll be fine. I'll just relax for a bit.
Yeah, I'll just relax, figure out how to fix my arms, and then grab Sasuke.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good plan. We get one of the rare serious scenes with Jiraiya.
It's not that rare. Maybe in the context of these episodes, it's like maybe his one, like all out serious scene. But
Yeah, I mean, like he is going to like gradually become a more serious character as like basically starting now.
Mm-hmm.
But he is approached by the old people in the village. You know, the old ones that used to hang out with the Hokage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking Koharu and Homura or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, and they're like, "Hey, we picked you to be the next Hokage," and he's like, "No, thanks."
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Like, you got some time. I know that the fucking villain, like the war with the sand, isn't actually happening. We get this like tidbit about how like, as soon as like everything like in all the fighting in the village stopped, the sand was basically just like, "Oh shit, that was Orochimaru's fault. We can't do this. We know you can't do this. So let's just stop having war and go like, I don't know. I guess we'll be allies again."
Yeah.
I've got to say that like outside of like I guess losing the Kazekage and like losing a bunch of the people who like went and pursued an attack, which like we know was like not a lot of like the Sand Spore soldiers were like not actually being sent into the village for whatever reason.
Yeah, which okay, can we talk about that for a sec because the like dead Kazekage thing kind of recontextualizes that in a way that I think doesn't make quite as much sense.
Yeah, right. Because like when we were talking about that earlier, we talked about how like the Kazekage hesitating to send in all the forces was like, yeah, we can like cut these guys off as extremists if we need to. But like if Orochimaru is just trying to like use the like hidden sand as a gun, it's like a little more strange that he's not like committing to it that much.
Yeah, right. Like if I would have just sent fucking everybody. I would have just fucking I don't know, but maybe the like espionage disguising yourself as the Kazekage situation was like a little bit more precarious than was necessarily on screen, right? And so like I could also see it being the case where it's like if I just decided to send everybody in like that, I would be under like too much scrutiny.
Yeah, I can see that being the case. I do think in the grand scheme of things, this actually winds up working like kind of well for the Sand because like their main beef with the Leaf was how the Leaf was sort of like expanding their own power by like working to like take a lot of work from the like the government of the Land of Wind, like and sort of like diverting funds that would normally go to the land, the village in the Sand. And, like with a lot of the Leaf's forces down, they're probably not going to be able to take as much of that work, and so like maybe this isn't so bad for them,
Yeah, honestly, maybe the attack worked out.
And like it's not like fucking Gaara's dad was doing that much shit that was like good for the village. It seems like he mostly just ordered a lot of people to kill his son and die, it seems like.
Yeah, he devoted a lot of his attention to the possessed demon baby situation.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, maybe this is actually like it's a little rough for them right now, but it's probably looking up for them in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, that's probably fine. But he's like, okay, fine. I'm not going to be the Hokage. But if it will get you all, if it'll get you to quit asking me, I'll go find Tsunade.
I could truly respect this. I would not like want to like pick up the like I just wouldn't want this job personally, especially not like taking it from my fucking weird dad who like always compared me to like his other student who he like now hates and like tried to. It's a whole fucking mess, Sometimes you just don't want to be there.
Yeah.
The village elders are like, okay, fine, we're gonna send you like an Anbu detail with you, which again, like I've not been sold on the Anbu still, so like I'm not really sure. I feel like Jirai could like evade an Anbu detail pretty easily if it came down to it.
Yeah, the Anbu. I mean, I don't want to reiterate the 30 men behind one bush situation, but
yeah, I'm like even beyond the like Anbu suck jokes, like there's really an extent to which the Anbu are like, okay, like here's the like baseline sort of competent guys that like all of the actual strong guys are better. So like it just doesn't really seem it doesn't really seem like the best plan, It doesn't seem like that's really necessary. But like Jiraiya is like don't send those guys with me. I'm actually gonna take Naruto with me, and like I'll be committed enough to this to like stick with it. And I guess that's enough to convince them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if we think about it, a squad of Anbu can't take on Kakashi. Mm-hmm. Kakashi can't take on Itachi. And Itachi can't take on Jiraiya.
Okay.
So
we also know that like a squad of Anbu can't take on Kabuto, and getting out a little ahead of ourselves, Naruto's going to do that by the end of this arc. So like that puts Naruto above the Anbu too on the pecking order. It's all right.
Yeah. God, I could probably kill 100 Anbu at once.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
You want to move on though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Naruto's having trouble finding his last free ramen ticket, and Kakashi very conspicuously name drops Sasuke next to a guy he's pretty sure is Itachi. Sasuke shows up and Itachi disappears, leaving his dango behind. Asuma and Kurenai pursue, and run into the Akatsuki duo by the river. Asuma asks what they're doing here, but Kisame just wants to fight. He drags his huge sharkskin sword against Asuma's arm, tearing it up pretty bad. Kurenai gets them in a genjutsu, but Itachi has the Sharingan, and turns it back around on her. Kurenai gets kicked into the river, but Kakashi's there for backup. Naruto found the ticket.
Kakashi is so fucking good in this episode. Like,
Yeah.
even beyond the stuff where he's, like, hanging around outside the cafe where the Akatsuki are, like, there's this moment where, like, Asuma and Kurenai are, like, clearly on a date, and, like, there's an extent to which, like, oh, I was really hoping we would see Kakashi here, like, we're doing this date early enough in the morning that he's probably just gonna go be sad at Obito's grave, and Kakashi is just fucking there. Even beyond the extent to which Kakashi is about to ask them to go do something dangerous, there's this, like, you get this great picture of them being like, oh, Kakashi's gonna be so fucking annoying if he knows we're doing this.
Yeah. God, I still really like Kurenai.
Yeah.
She's just so pretty.
Got bad news for you.
I know.
Look, maybe, you know, maybe a little later on, she'll need someone to comfort her. And,
Yeah, I'll fucking raise his daughter.
yeah, it was like, in addition to just, like, being there to annoy, you know, Kurenai and Asuma, he's just, like, sort of glanced over Itachi, he's like, at Itachi, and he's like, yeah, so, like, Sasuke is, like, totally gonna be here any minute now. And they're just fucking out of there. Itachi's not looking for that right now.
Yeah.
Sasuke shows up, like, moments later and just, like, glances at where Kakashi's asked to meet. He's like, hey, by the way, I hate treats. I don't like sweet things. I don't have time for that. I'm a serious boy.
I don't want that half-eaten dango, Kakashi.
Yeah. Sorry, did you call me here for this? I'm not a half-eaten dango guy. Not even a fully uneaten dango guy.
I am, however, a fully eaten dango guy. If you show me a plate where dango used to be, I'm like, nice, I didn't want that. Kurenai and Asuma go to, like, chase after the Akatsuki.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the little, like, introduction of the two men.
Yeah, like, it's great because, like, Asuma and Kurenai catch up to them, and, like, Itachi recognizes them and, like, speaks to them by name, and, you know, they're like, oh shit, you must be somebody from the village, and they recognize the Sharingan. It's like, okay, we know exactly who you are. And then, like, Kisame, like, takes off his hat. It's like, oh, and by the way, I'm Kisame. I'm here too.
I love this dude so much.
So he's so much fun in these episodes. I like forgot how much fun Kisame was, but he's, like, genuinely kind of delightful here. He's like looking over at Itachi. He's like, damn, everybody in your village hates you too, huh? Well, it's okay. I'm your bro. We're all right. Also, I have to shout out their fucking matching purple, like, nail polish. Great
Fuck,
shit.
yeah. Fucking boyfriend shit.
The Akatsuki partnerships are so that you can paint each other's nails. That's, like, the primary function.
Oh my god, we should join.
Oh my god, maybe. We'll have to say they're recruiting.
What if we just...
What if we just, like, make some of those robes of our own, and we just sort of, like, go around causing trouble until they're like, well, I guess we have to associate with you now.
Woohoo!
We're not gonna make different robes.
That's the plan for this next arc. Or, I mean, that's the plan. Now that Konoha Crush is over, that's just what we do now.
Yeah.
Until fucking Boruto happens or whatever. I don't know, when did the Akatsuki stop being, like, a thing? Probably sooner than Boruto, actually.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the Fourth Ninja World War, it's not really like a secret or Akatsuki stuff going on at all time. It's just like a big fucking clusterfuck at all times.
Yeah.
There's, like, technically an Akatsuki, but it's not really, like, the same. I also really like when they're, another thing I want to touch on when they're, like, when Itachi and Kisame are, like, you know, encountering Asuma and Kurenai, is, they do recognize who Kisame is, and they talk about the shit that he did, where he, like, you know, evidently he was also, like, planning to overthrow the Mist government and, like, assassinated a feudal lord of a different country. So, like, it just kind of seems like all of the, like, former, you know, the former Mist, like, Seven Swordsman guys who got kicked out, all were up to some really sick shit. Itachi tries to be like, hey, we're not here to fight, and, you know, Asuma and Kurenai are like, okay, that's great. We're still gonna fucking fight you. I just launched into like a fight where, like, it's clear that neither of them are really super well suited for this. You know, Asuma is, like, immediately on the defensive, trying to, like, hold back a big sword. with his like punch knives, which like worse reach, can't really get the same leverage, and also like Kasame's got his like fucked up like cutting you with like shark skin scales stuff going on.
He's got a very big rasp.
Is that kind of sword?
No, it's a kind of woodworking tool.
Oh, okay. And Kurenai's in the deeply unfortunate position of like needing to be the genjutsu specialist who's fighting like somebody with a Sharingan. Like, sorry, it just wasn't gonna go well for you. I'm glad. I respect you for trying, but like, it's just. I
mean, genjutsu specialists all over the world were like, wahoo! And the fucking Uchiha clan got wiped out.
Yeah, like Kurenai was like at times like, oh, that's terrible, but she's kind of like inside, she's like, okay, this is like pretty good for me though.
Yeah.
I guess it's not less of a big deal for her because she's like in the Leaf, but like,
Yeah, I feel like especially in the Leaf, like the Uchihas got wiped out, and then Kurenai was like, yes, now I can be the genjutsu.
Oh shit, yeah.
Just fucking terrible matchup.
Mm-hmm. Like instantly her like trapping you in a tree genjutsu gets like reversed on her. And like, she's able to break out of it pretty easily. But, it's pretty clear that like, I don't know if Kurenai has other tricks, but like, she doesn't really get up to like trying any of them.
That's okay. Kakashi's here.
Kakashi shows up. Zabuza's like trying to do his like shark bomb jutsu.
You called him Zabuza.
Oh fuck! God damn it! Kasame is trying to do his shark bomb jutsu. I like that there's so many water jutsus that are like, yeah, I'm gonna like make a different sort of animal out of water and shoot it at a guy. And clearly Kakashi has like enough of the fundamentals from when he was copying Zabuza's like water dragon shit to like just do a shark pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Well, I imagine all of this jutsu were made in the same afternoon by the same guy who just like started big. All right, that's the dragon.
It just started taking requests.
Well, he started no. He then broke it down into like smaller, easier versions, and then gave each of them a different animal.
Okay, all right. Kakashi shows up to the fight, which is like weirdly not the like stinger we end the episode on, because then we like cut back to Naruto, who's like eating ramen, and Jiraiya just shows up and he's like, oh damn, you really do just eat ramen. That's hilarious. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Yeah, and then, the episode ends.
And the episode ends. That's all I have to say about this one.
Yeah, alright. Episode 82, Eye to Eye, Sharingan versus Sharingan. Jiraiya drags Naruto along for the Tsunade hunt, but Naruto isn't too thrilled about it until Jiraiya offers to teach him a new jutsu. Kasame and Kakashi bond over knowing Zabuza, and Itachi lets them know that they're just looking for something before returning to the fight. Itachi explodes one of his clones, and Kakashi gets injured, helping Kurenai avoid the blast. Itachi activates his special eyes, and Kakashi tells everyone not to look at them.
So starting off this episode, we got some more stuff with Naruto and Jiraiya. I really like Naruto in this scene. I like how he's like so hung up on like trying to learn the Chidori. He's like, no, I'm not fucking going anywhere because Kakashi is going to teach me the Chidori. I like that he still thinks that that's like the biggest, strongest attack because like the guy he thinks is like cool knows it. I think there's sort of a fun dynamic where like in Naruto's head, like Sasuke is still like the biggest, strongest guy his age he knows, and meanwhile Sasuke's just like, shit, what the hell is going on? Why is Naruto strong?
It's honestly like a really fun dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I love how angsty Sasuke is all the time now. It's so good.
Yeah, Sasuke is not in this episode very much, but like whenever he is in this episode, he's just like going down into like the fucking basement of like the like whatever fucking Uchiha building he's in to like go into like a special room that he goes to get more pissed off. Jiraiya is like trying to like motivate Naruto to go with him, and he's like just doing a frankly embarrassing job. I like just kind of saying some weird shit. He's like, "Hey Naruto, we're gonna go look for like a really hot girl." And, like, first of all, weird. That girl you're looking for is like the woman you're looking for is like 50 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Naruto's like 12. Just I feel like maybe he's not gonna be the most motivated by that. And like and like Naruto is just like, or I feel like Jiraiya could assume that Naruto would be the most motivated by that, and like Naruto obviously isn't. And Naruto has like seen enough women to like know how to turn into a girl, and that like that's basically where his interest ends.
For the way you phrase that, implied some things.
Yeah, I didn't really mean to imply those things, but like like or like way earlier in the show, he's like, yeah, we gotta look at girls and like enhance our sexy jutsu, but like past that point, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, he likes the one kind of still,
Yeah.
but but he's not a fucking creep.
Yeah, he's not a fucking creep.
Yeah, and also like Jiraiya, if you just like tell the kid that you're like, yeah, we have to track down the person that we're gonna make the new Hokage.
Right. Like, that would be enough, right?
Yeah, he'd be like, oh, an important mission.
Yeah. You just have to say you're doing some important shit. Why are you not leading with this? Like, he does get there eventually. He's like, actually, I've got to teach this even stronger than the Chidori. And Naruto's like, oh shit. That's all. That's like the thing I've been waiting my whole life to hear. And by my whole life, I mean like the last week. So now we like cut back to the river. I like Kakashi has just made like another shadow clone of himself, so he's just sort of like passively standing in front of like Kurenai and also Asuma. He's just like he's just like here to make sure nobody fights. But like unfortunately, upon introducing himself to Kasame, Kasame's like, "Oh, you fought Zabuza, huh? I really want to fucking fight you." I almost have to wonder, like, did they fucking know each other? Like, they had some like. It seems like they had at least at some point some aligned goals. Like, were they tight? They they get along? I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know. I mean, they're both one of the seven swordsmen, right?
Yeah, but like, I don't know if we know how connected of like an organization that is right now. Like, I don't even know how many like active swordsmen there are right now. If think about like the broad scheme of Naruto, right? Like, Zabuza had one, Kisame has one. There's like another guy later we meet who has one, and like I think the other four are dead and don't like nobody has the swords at the moment.
Do we know what like constitutes being one of the seven swordsmen? Is it just possessing the sword?
Maybe.
Because I feel like that's badass.
It seems kind of like that way because like they don't like denounce Zabuza as like one of the seven swordsmen of the mist. He still is that, right? Like because he has the fucking head chopper. It's like, yeah, maybe it's just having the sword.
They couldn't do that because he had the coolest one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What the fuck else do they have?
I mean, like, we're looking at the second coolest one.
Uh-huh.
And
the
rest of them are awful. Yeah, we're looking at the second coolest one, and it's not even a fucking sword, and neither of the rest of them, frankly. One of them's a big scroll.
God, I fucking hate that one. Kasame and Kakashi are about to square off, and Itachi like button is like, hey, Kasame, if you like try to fight here, it's gonna be a whole thing. It's gonna go really long. It's gonna draw a lot of attention. But like, if I fight here, I can fucking handle it, right? Yeah, they really want us to know that Itachi is like the new strongest guy, and they will like stop at nothing to like make sure everybody else also knows that. Like, there's a scene in this part where Asuma and Kurenai are like, "Oh my god, to think he's this strong," and Kakashi's like, "No, he's actually even stronger." and then like Itachi like activates his special eyes, except like it only sort of feels like it because they haven't really settled on the fact that the special eyes look different yet.
Yeah.
So he's just got like the normal Sharingan still, even though like he calls it the Mangekyo in this part.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We can just like backfill. We can just pretend it looks right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm imagining it.
Yeah. Whoa! It's badass.
Oh my god! It looks so different.
Wow! It looks so different and cool.
I can immediately tell he's got a different power going on. That's like basically what I had to say about this part of the episode, I think.
Alright, let's move on then. With his Sharingan, Kakashi's the only one with any chance of standing up to Itachi's Genjutsu. But Itachi traps Kakashi in his nightmare realm. Kakashi gets nightmare stabbed for 3 days straight in the blink of an eye in the fucked up nightmare realm. He's mostly fine though. Kakashi asks if Itachi is after Sasuke. Itachi says no. They're after the legacy of the fourth Hokage. Kakashi remembers Jiraiya telling him about the Akatsuki, and how they might be after the nine-tailed fox. Surprised Kakashi knows the name of their special club, Itachi asks Kasame to kill Asuma and Kurenai with the intent to abduct Kakashi. Guy intercepts and gives the other two some tips on dealing with the Sharingan. Itachi doesn't want this to turn into a big fight, so the Akatsuki retreat. Naruto and Jiraiya head out.
Right. So yeah, this part of the episode starts with like Kakashi being like, okay, with my Sharingan powers, I stand a chance against his like Genjutsu ability, and then like immediately doesn't fucking happen. He goes to brain hell. He's like up on the fucking cross, and Itachi is stabbing him forever.
Literally crucified.
He is literally being crucified. This is like a very extensive scene. Like in the manga, it's just like one big splash page of like, well, here's Kakashi up on the cross, and there's like panels along the bottom of it of of like Itachi stabbing him repeatedly. I do think that like making it into a long scene for the anime perspective is like, it's a reasonable call for filling time, and I think it's also like a good way to capture the effect of like, oh, I turned the page and now the whole fucking comic that I can see is Kakashi being stabbed. I think there's like some fun tricks in it where like there's a few times where Kakashi is like trying to like look over to like focus on something else, and it's just like, oh, what's over there? Oh, it's also me being stabbed.
Cool. He doesn't seem too upset by it though.
Doesn't he?
He comes out the other end fine. He's like, ugh.
Does he?
You're the Sasuke.
No, there's one thing I do want to say like before we move on from Brain Hell, which is there's like the truly audacious decision to have Itachi like a full 2.5 minutes into this scene be like, oh, by the way, it's only been 1 second.
I love this motherfucker so much.
It's amazing. Like, Orochimaru is like the big strong guy we're supposed to think is like, scary and like maybe a little repulsive or whatever, which like, we don't think he's repulsive. We love that guy. But like Itachi shows up and he's like the big strong guy where it's like, oh, you're supposed to think this guy is fucking badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to like what happens after that. Do you have something you want to say about
that? Yeah, so Kakashi comes out of the fucking Genjutsu. And I think he's fine.
I don't know that he's fine, because I feel like a few minutes later in this episode, he just like collapses and starts sinking into the water.
Yeah, that could have been from the explosion. It's probably from the explosion. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
Like, he's tuckered out. He's hurt, but like,
Yeah.
he's not like a fucking...
He's not like a husk.
Like, it didn't break him, right? And like, I don't know. Can Genjutsu like fucking physically hurt you? I don't think so. Like, not really. Yeah. Right? Like, the thing that Itachi was going for was, like, breaking his will or whatever, and when he comes out of it, he's fine, So I think he's fine.
Okay. But yes, Kakashi's asking what, like, Itachi's here for, if he's after Sasuke, and Itachi's like, no, I'm here for the 4th Hokage's legacy. And this is, like, very silly to me, because, like, I don't know to what end he's trying to be secretive about this, because everybody in the scene immediately knows what he's talking about. And this, like, from a narrative perspective, the show makes it immediately clear who he's talking about, because Kakashi's like, Naruto, and, like, I mean, like, maybe it's trying to, like, establish to those of us who have not yet picked up on the fact that, like, Naruto and the 4th Hokage are connected somehow. But, like, I feel like it's been pretty obvious about that.
The only one who would not immediately get that is Naruto.
Yeah. Like, maybe Kasame doesn't really know exactly what that means.
Right, but Kasame knows what...
Yeah, but Kasame knows what they're there for, yeah. So it's like, why is he saying it like this?
It's so funny if Kasame's just like, you mean the blonde kid? Itachi's a lot of fun.
Itachi is a lot of fun, yeah. So Kakashi is like thinking back to like when he was talking to Jiraiya earlier, when he like heard about the Akatsuki. And Jiraiya is like... So first of all, the scene starts off with Jiraiya being like, hey man, I hate to do this to you, but like I think it's time for Naruto to be my son instead of yours. It's just how it's gotta be sometimes.
Yeah, Kakashi's like, fuck yeah, I'm so busy with Sasuke.
He's like, yeah, okay, Sasuke's like, I thought he was gonna be kind of a handful. It has like, the workload has increased. This kid really needed a lot, like, even more than I expected. Now he's got like a fucking curse on him. And then Jiraiya is like talking about, this whole time he hasn't just been like fucking around like writing horny books. He's also been like following Orochimaru and like reporting information on, it's like, and, like gathering information on Orochimaru. And like I have to say, I don't know that he's been doing a very good job. Yeah. Because Orochimaru has a whole village that like the Leaf just decided to like let waltz into like in for the Chunin exams.
Yeah, also we're still there. Like we're still in the Leaf right now. Like we're still undercover.
But there's also like, I mean, this is one of those things where it's like if I think about it, like most rationally, it's probably just like, okay, there are a lot of narrative connections that had not been established yet. But like, if I think about it in terms of like what all happens in Naruto, there is an extent where like I kind of have to think like taking the full picture into account. Like Jiraiya in this moment is like, he is lying about like how much he personally knows about the Akatsuki and like how much of a connection he has to that, right? Because like the current ostensible leader of the Akatsuki is a kid that he like trained, and like he doesn't seem to be like particularly confused about who its members are, right? Like he's like he seems to know who they are, even if he's not saying, because like they're a big mysterious organization right now. You can't just reveal all that shit right off the cuff. It's like they're like they're like two different reads I can take of this, and one of them is like, if I take the full picture into account, it seems like Jiraiya's kind of bad at this, and there's a different picture which is like, maybe not necessarily the intent, but which is like a little more compelling, which is like, Jiraiya has like all of this like weird personal stakes in it, where he doesn't really know how much to disclose to like the people that he's like ostensibly even as he's ostensibly trying to gather information for the Leaf. And I don't know, I think that's interesting to talk about or to think about. Like, how much of this is, like, him being like, oh, yeah, I was following Orochimaru, and I like, saw that he joined the Akatsuki, and how much of it is him being like, oh, yeah, I was, like, sort of looking into the Akatsuki for my own personal reasons, and I saw Orochimaru was there, and I was like, oh, shit, I should be paying attention to what Orochimaru is doing.
Right, and also, like, how much he's, like, telling them about, like, how they might be, like, after the Nine-Tailed Fox is him, like, yeah, okay, like, it is directly involving the village now, so, like, I kind of have to say it, but I'm gonna, like, not say that much because maybe it won't be a big deal.
Like, I guess I don't actually know for sure if like if Jiraiya actually knows like who like Pain is or whatever. But like, it's
yeah.
I think there are interesting angles you can like look at this scene through if like depending on like what's actually true here.
Mm-hmm.
We also get like in this scene we get this great like, oh, none of these guys have been like revealed to any level yet, like shot of the Akatsuki silhouette.
Yeah.
Where like you can see that you can see that like Itachi, like Kasame is there, and like that's probably Itachi next to Kasame, and I don't know who any of the rest of these fucking guys are. I don't know who I'm supposed to think any of these people are.
Well, you see, they all have hair.
They all have hair. I love whenever they have to draw like a mysterious like silhouette group of a bunch of people who don't have designs yet, and so they're just kind of fucking guessing.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of fucking
like,
dudes
hoping to be vague enough that it's like, yeah, this could be sort of correct.
It's Kakashi's imagination. Because we all know how good Kakashi is at imagining stuff.
Yeah.
Like from the Land of Waves, when
yeah.
Zabuza was
from imagining Zabu just having completely like raised the village into the midst of the ground.
Yeah.
But anyway, back in the present, Kasame is about to like leap into action, and like Guy fucking shows up. Guy's great here.
Guy's so good here.
I love that he shows up and he like looks at Asuma and Kuro and he's like, hey, wait, why do you guys have your eyes closed? And I'm like, well, it's because of the Sharingan. And he's like, okay, you can just like look at their feet and read their moves. And they're like, no, we can't. That's not some shit normal people could just do, Guy. Like, I'm sorry, I know you've been fighting the fucking one guy left in the village with a Sharingan for the last like decade of your life, but like we can't do that shit. He's like, okay, well, can you try? Just give it your best shot.
Yeah, like, we gotta try.
Also, like shortly after Guy shows up, Kakashi just like starts like fucking sinking into the water, and just like leans down, like throws him over his shoulder. It's great.
There is a scene here where there's a really good dub line.
Mm-hmm.
So like, when Guy like introduces himself and then fucking Kasame has something to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Kasame's dub line here, more like mighty stupid looking guy.
Oh my god. Fucking got his ass.
Fucking got his ass so bad.
He's never recovering from that.
Never. It's such a fucking hilarious anime dub line. I can't get over it.
That's beautiful. Right, I mean, then realizing there's like a bit more of a fight, and like a Guy called for reinforcements. Itachi and Kasame are just like, okay, fine, we're fucking out of here. And that's like all I have to say about that episode, right? Is there anything more you want to touch on?
No, I mean, that's basically it.
Okay.
Episode 83, Jiraiya, Naruto's potential disaster. On the road, Naruto's super eager to find out what the new jutsu is going to be. Back in town, everyone's helping repair the village, and Sakura goes to deliver some treats to Ino's house. Sasuke blows holes in some rocks and seethes about Naruto growing way stronger than him. Itachi and Kasame talk about not wanting to fight Jiraiya head-on, and Itachi notes that everyone, even the strongest guys, have their weaknesses.
There is a scene at the top of this episode that you mentioned when we were talking about the previous one, right?
Yeah.
Where Naruto is like trying to figure out what jutsu Jiraiya is going to teach him.
This boy is so fucking stupid.
It's amazing. I love that in his head, Jiraiya is just the guy who like knows about walking on things. So he's like, okay, he's going to teach me how to fly by walking on air.
I love how that's not even the first thing he goes to, also.
Yeah.
His first thought is walking on fire.
Uh-huh.
Which, very useful. Good job, Naruto.
He's like completely forgotten about toads. He's like, yeah, Jiraiya knows how to walk. It's beautiful. The boy doesn't know a thing. And Jiraiya is like kind of sick of this. He's like tries to give his whole spiel about how he's like the strongest fucking guy in the world. He's like so sexy that people are literally afraid of him. Like, Naruto basically doesn't fucking care until he realizes like, wait, shit. If you're strong, and you're training me, That means I'm good. Jiraiya like begrudgingly reveals like, yeah, okay, fine, I do train strong people. I trained the fourth Hokage, which again feels like shit you should be leading with, but also it's one of those things where like, at this point, why are you not just telling the kid? Who benefits from him not knowing? He's like, oh, you remind me so much of the fourth Hokage for some reason. You've got the same hair.
Yeah, it's weird. You got like the same hair and also like half of his genes.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
And also, he's just your fucking dad, kid.
Yeah, like, well, I truly don't understand why they don't just go a step further. Like, I get that like is gonna be like a reveal later, but I don't know. Like, it's one of those reveals where it doesn't make sense that it's like being kept a secret from him, especially at this point when there's like so much like on the table. Like, he has talked to that fox.
Yeah, like he has talked to the fox. He has talked to Jiraiya specifically about talking to the fox.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Jiraiya knows he knows. And, like, the thing that I liked about Jiraiya back when, like, the fox stuff was going down for the first time was that Jiraiya was just the guy that didn't give a shit. Jiraiya was the guy that was just like, yeah, it's the fox.
Mm-hmm. Like, at a certain point, you're just kind of, like, running against the risk of, like, oh, he's going to find out some other way.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, I don't know. It is, like, one of those weird points of tension that, like, never really resolves for me. I just don't really get it. I think there are like some like gestures towards like why later, but like, you know, I guess we'll get there when we get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just don't want the kid to get a big head about it.
I guess.
Naruto's stupid as hell. He'll be so fucking annoying if he knows he's the fourth Hokage's son.
Okay, all right, that starts to make a little sense to me.
God, I mean, like, you've seen Konohamaru.
Yeah, okay. Like, I don't even know if we know who Konohamaru's dad is, right?
No, Konohamaru's dad is, like, totally absent.
He's a fucking nobody, if he's even alive.
Yeah, right, like, I remember looking it up, and I couldn't even, like, decisively, like, find whether or not it is true that he is just a dead guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, they're, like, I've talked about this before, like, there's a lot of characters whose parents are just, like, absent because, like, the actual parental relationship is not, like, really foregrounded in a lot of Naruto, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the actual, like, lineage outside like the big clans is like much more a thing about like, yeah, here's who trained you and like here's who trained the guy who trained you.
And until we get to Boruto.
Until we get to Boruto, yeah. So back in the village, like Sakura is like getting ready to go about her day. She's like going to go give like sweets to Ino's house, and it's like, oh, I'll give some to the boys I know. You know, she's gonna bring some to Sasuke, which like unfortunately we just learned that Sasuke hates sweets, so that's gonna go over poorly for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she thinks back to like, you know, talking to Sasuke while Kakashi is like sort of jokingly trying to teach Naruto the Chidori, which is like kind of a cute scene where Kakashi's like, obviously the kid's not gonna fucking get it, but like, I don't know, I'll tell him like the basics and just sort of like watch him fuck up for a bit.
Yeah.
You know, the scene acts as like sort of a bridge between like, you know, like Sakura learns that Naruto saved her and that like Sasuke's like kind of worried about how strong Naruto has become, and that winds up acting as a bridge. Like, oh, we cut over to Sasuke after that, and God, I have to say. Again, I think the continued erosion of like anything going on with Sakura is like very frustrating. Where like she learns that Naruto is getting very strong now, and her reaction is basically just like, ah, shucks, that's nice. Like, there's no real like competitive spirit or like recognition on her part of like, oh yeah, back at the fucking academy she was like good at shit, but now she's just kind of like being left by the wayside. It's just like, oh wow, the boys are strong. That's great.
Forever and ever and ever will I be sad about the girls in Naruto.
Mm-hmm. Like, she just can't even fucking bring herself to, like, feel anything interesting about it. Or, like, anything, like it's just not characterful. It's just the most, like, generic, like, oh, wow. Boys can be strong.
Boys are strong. Good thing I'm a girl, so I don't have to be strong. I'll just bring them flowers and candy.
Mm-hmm.
And blush about how strong they're getting.
Yeah. Sasuke is, of course, not being normal about it. Sasuke is, like, so fucked up about it. He's just, like, he's fucking up a rock. He's just trying to push himself harder every moment. You know, he feels he's got to play catch up for the first time in his life. I love this shit. This is like one of my favorite rival things, where like the rival who's like naturally good at something like realizes like, oh shit, I have to try at this. Nobody ever told me about having to try to be better at something than somebody else, and I have no idea how to fucking handle it healthily, so I'm going to be a disaster instead.
Yeah,
I eat it up every time.
It's so fucking good. So then we move on to the scene where Itachi and Kisame are talking about Jiraiya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, this is another moment of like, it's just kind of trying to be like how like precise the show would be about like the gradations of like the various characters' strength, right? Because we know, right, Orochimaru isn't as strong as Itachi, and Itachi's like, okay, I'm not as strong as Jiraiya. Like, maybe we could kill each other at the same time, but if I get lucky, but I can't win.
Yeah, he looks over at Kasami and he's like, you definitely die against Jiraiya.
Yeah. I like that Kasami's just chill with this. Like, he doesn't mind.
Yeah, I love, honestly, I love their dynamics so fucking much.
Kasami, like, doesn't really mind being the weaker one in the duo, because, like, he still gets to fuck up a guy with his shark sword every once in a while. That's really all that matters to him. He's just hanging out. He's just here to vibe.
He's hanging out. He's just here to, like, fucking... He's just here to, like, do his job and, like, humor his boyfriend.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can respect that.
Yeah. Also, I've decided they're dating, if that wasn't obvious.
Yeah, no, I could tell by like, the multiple times you referred to them in this episode as boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
That really gave up the game on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's just true, though. Look at them.
Yeah, I see it.
They paint each other's nails.
They
Fact.
paint each other's nails.
You ready to move on?
Yeah.
Naruto's playing with the bells at a shrine and asks Jiraiya about the fourth Hokage. He deflects and starts talking about the third. We get a story of when he did the bell test and ended up tied up to the log like Naruto was. Sasuke walks in on Guy, Asuma, and Kurenai talking over an unconscious Kakashi. He learns that Itachi was in town and is looking for Naruto. He takes off and interrogates the ramen guy about Naruto's whereabouts. Naruto and Jiraiya make it to the next town and stop to stay at an inn. Jiraiya leaves Naruto with the room key and heads off to spend the night with a totally not suspicious hot lady. Sasuke arrives a little later and rushes to track down their hotel. He finally gets a positive reply regarding the blonde kid and the old guy, but it's the wrong people. Itachi finds Naruto in his room.
Right, so this is the one of our episodes this week that is only adapting one chapter of the manga. And, like, you can kind of start to tell with this part of the episode a little more, but I think it mostly does really well with it. Like, I mean, part of that is, like, it brings back that scene with, you know, like I talked about in the previous episode because I thought the anime skipped it.
Yeah.
With Jiraiya remembering when he was taking, like, the bell test with the third Hokage.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, I think it's, like, a really delightful scene of Naruto just being, like, a goofy kid. I love that he's like running back and forth to, like, jangle the bells, and, like, we, like, cut over to Jiraiya and we hear, like, the shadow clone summoning noise, and we, like, cut back to Naruto and he's got, like, 4 of him and he's, like, sitting on his own shoulders to, like, be, like, jangling both of the bells really well at the same time.
Yeah.
He's just happy to be on a fucking road trip with his, like, fucking his new dad.
With his new old dad.
Yeah. Did you have anything you want to say, like, now that, like, the Jiraiya, like, flashback to the third Hokage thing has actually been, like, something you've seen? Like, was there anything you want to touch on with that?
I still fucking hate the third Hokage, actually.
Yeah, he comes across pretty badly here. Like I said, like, you know, when I read this in the manga, I was like, oh, I kind of see why they didn't put this in the episode where everybody was fondly reminiscing about him, because he seems like a fucking shithead here.
Yeah. Also, can I say the thing about, like, the way he's talking about Orochimaru here?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way you talk about him after you found out he was gay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a thing of the anime that didn't really come across in the manga, which is, like, right, like, they leave Jiraiya, like, tied to the fucking stump or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, when he's, like, going to, like, actually talk to Jiraiya, it's, like, way fucking later in the day. He just left him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird that, like, every time we see this, it's like, here's your, like, teamwork learning exercise. And, like, the third Hokage just has, like, here's how we learn which one of you is the worst training exercise for his kids. It's just, it's a strange choice. I don't know.
It's a weird one.
I do like that when, like, Jiraiya starts reminiscing about it. He, like, well, like, when Jiraiya, like, asks Naruto about, like, having done if he did, like, a bell test, and, like, Naruto mentions being tied to the stump, Jiraiya's like, oh, you too? I mean, nothing. That didn't happen, actually. I'm really strong and cool. You have to believe me.
Yeah, it's very important. Jiraiya could just say, hey, we're on an important mission. We're in charge of tracking down the person that's going to be the next Hokage. Like, I have a pretty good idea of where she is. So I'm going to go and fetch her.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he could be all like, you know, and we're going to learn, like, a jutsu about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to learn a relevant jutsu from the new Hokage.
Yeah.
But, nah.
I do think it's, like, honestly kind of weird that Jiraiya doesn't try to be like, oh, you know, I used to be kind of like a dumb kid like you, but now I'm actually super strong and awesome, and everybody loves me.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe he's not about that level of humility. Anyway, back in the village, the Leaf Joan are just like fucking sitting in Kakashi's room, right? Like, there's not like a fucking hospital you can get admitted to for like having had your brain tortured for 72 hours. You just kind of gotta sleep that one off.
Yeah.
They're just like sitting around there like awkwardly. Sasuke runs in there. And you're like, hey, what? Why are you all here? Why is Kakashi asleep? And they're just all like having this like fucking sitcom ass moment of like, oh, it's no reason, it's fine. Some fucking random fucking Aoba Yamashiro runs in. It's like, hey, I heard Itachi was here. What's up? And everybody's just fucking glaring at him. It's amazing.
Hey, I heard Itachi's here. What's up? Is it true that he's after Naruto?
Yeah, is it true that he's after Naruto and not Sasuke? What's going on? Just like a ridiculous comedy beat. It's beautiful.
I love how they made a ridiculous comedy beat out of like the worst news fucking Sasuke could get right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow. That's gonna be great for his trauma, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, really helpful. Could you have like knocked first?
Usually when you're trying to like help someone with their trauma, you don't want to help the trauma.
Joining the war against trauma on the side of trauma.
So Sasuke just leaves immediately?
Yeah, Sasuke's fucking off. He's out of here.
I love how all of the other adults in the room are just like, come the fuck on, dude.
Oh, man. Yeah. I feel like maybe at least one of them should have gone after Sasuke, but like...
It was a joke. We played a prank on you.
Hey, April Fools!
April Fools! So Sasuke runs off. He like bumps into Sakura, asks where Naruto is. She doesn't know.
Mm-hmm. Sakura at this point has to be getting like kind of annoyed that all of the boys in his life just like go to like talk to her to ask about other boys.
Yeah.
And this is her terrible plight as a heterosexual ally.
Yeah. Fucking, this is what you do when you just like make yourself the center of all of your fucking gay besties, right? Like, you see, all of the boys in your social circle are just like, not all that into girls.
Mm-hmm. Sasuke like runs off to the fucking like the ramen shop. Sort of expects Naruto to be there, and he's like, "Oh shit, Naruto isn't here." Asks around about it. There's like a weird beat where in the manga, like it said like, "Oh yeah, Jiraiya went to this town a little ways away that has a pleasure district in it." And like in the anime, like both in the subs that I have and like I checked in the dub also, like they're like, yeah, it's like a it's like an outpost town or like it's like a post office there or whatever. They're like very much trying to like kind of elide that, but also like by the time anybody gets there, it's like very obvious what the vibe is. They just don't say it.
Yeah, they just don't say it. Also, I like when Sasuke, like, gets the information and leaves out and, like, leaves right away. Yeah. Like, I just, like, could have fucking bought something, jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get to the next town. Anything you want to say specifically about, the pleasure district?
I guess I don't actually have a ton to say, really.
Okay. There's a funny guy holding a flame and posing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I gotta say.
That's all I gotta say. A dog's looking at him. There is like a bit that I do kind of like where like, like obviously, when Jiraiya and Naruto are walking through here, we get that like whole like here's all the guys here in this fucking pleasure district. And then when Sasuke shows up later, we get the same montage but faster because he's running.
Yeah,
it's just a good little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot left. Like
like Naruto like, goes back to the room to like practice chakra control or whatever. And we get like another one of these moments where the anime like accidentally touches on like a training method that Naruto's gonna like discover like years later, but like for a visual gag.
Yeah.
Sasuke's like searching around. There's this weird moment introduced where like while Sasuke is like running around like asking about all the hotels and like going to the hotel for old people and then going to the hotel for girls only. There's a moment in his like search where he like glares across the street at the hotel where Naruto is. And then, like, seems to just go somewhere else entirely.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
I don't know. Because that guy just like, yeah, I'm not saying shit about who showed up here. Or,
There's just, like, wasn't anybody at the front desk at the moment. It's like, fuck. Yeah, and then we get the thing where, like, he asks somebody, and they're like, yeah, I think I saw someone like that. And he goes up to the room, and different guys.
Yeah. They don't try to, like, play it where, we see Sasuke knocking at the door, and like Naruto hears a knock at the door, and it's like trying to like cut back and forth. These like create this sort of like
just like in the Gara hospital.
Oh my god, it's just like in the Gara hospital. It all comes back around. So I think it's a pretty fun bit, and I think like Naruto opening up the door and like Itachi's just fucking there is like a pretty good stinger.
Yeah, totally. But that's the episodes this week.
That's our episodes.
Okay. What are we watching next week?
Next week we are watching episodes 84, 85, and 86. We still gotta fucking sit down and figure out how we're approaching like this arc because of its weird length, but like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about it before we recorded this one, so next week we're just doing 3 episodes again.
Woohoo! So, hey, thanks for listening. If you want to catch the next episode early, you should check us out on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Konoha Crush. All one word, Konoha Crush. There, you get access to episodes up to a week early. Usually we post them the day after we post them on the main feed. You also get our bonus podcast, Narukai Uzumaki, where we talk about different like isekai and stuff on like a monthly basis. We're currently watching the first season of ReZero, so that's going to be our August episode, so look forward to that. Thanks to our Jonin tier patrons, Maple and Izzy, future Jinchuriki of the Six-Tailed Beast. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to us. Any images we talk about on the podcast can be found on our Twitter, at Konoha Crush, all one word, at Konoha Crush, and we have a Tumblr now too. Our URL for that is Konoha Crushcast, all one word, konohacrushcast.tumblr.com. So, if you're more of like a Tumblr person, you could follow us there and get, notifications when we upload episodes. Probably we'll make posts, reblog shit, Tumblr stuff. Or don't. Fuck you.
You got so many options.
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to shout out?
No, I'm not updating shit other than this podcast again this week. So like, that's basically it.
All right.
Go check out all Gwen's stuff.
Yeah. You can check out my stuff. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, there's no such thing as filler.